Thank you so much for being here with me again tonight. This is going to be part 3 and the last part of me reading Where the Sidewalk Ends. So we're going to just jump right back into where we left off. Point of view. Thanksgiving dinner's sad and thankless. Christmas dinner's dark and blue. When you stop and try to see it from the turkey's point of view. Sunday dinner isn't sunny. Easter feasts are just bad luck. When you see it from the viewpoint of a chicken or a duck. Oh, how I once loved tuna salad. Pork and lobsters, lamb chops too. Till I stopped and looked at dinner from the dinner's point of view. Magical eraser. She wouldn't believe this pencil has a magical eraser. She said I was a silly moo. She said I was a liar too. She dared me prove it wasn't true. And so, what could I do? I erased her. Spaghetti. Spaghetti, spaghetti, all over the place. Up to my elbows, up to my face. Over the carpet and under the chairs. Into the hammock and wound round the stairs. Filling in the bathtub and covering the desk. Making the sofa a mad, mushy mess. This party is ruined. I'm terribly worried. The guests have all left, unless they're all buried. I told them, bring presents. I said, throw confetti. I guess they heard wrong, 'cause they all threw spaghetti. Helping. Agatha Fry, she made a pie, and Christopher John helped bake it. Christopher John, he mowed the lawn, and Agatha Fry helped rake it. Zachary Zugg took out the rug, and Jennifer Joy helped shake it. And Jennifer Joy, she made a toy, and Zachary Zugg helped break it. And some kind of help is the kind of help that helping's all about. And some kind of help is the kind of help we all can do without. If I had a brontosaurus. If I had a brontosaurus, I would name him Horace or Morris. But if suddenly one day he had a lot of little brontosauri, I would change his name to Lori. Benjamin Bunn. Poor Benjamin Bunn from Wilmington. His buttons will not come undone. He hasn't changed his clothes since last July. And why? 'Cause no one can unbutton him, no matter how they try, poor guy. And all that he can take off are his socks and shoes and tie. And all that he can do is sit and bite his tongue and cry. And he cannot take a bath, so just lets the water run. And he can't go to the toilet, and he can't get any sun. And life just isn't any fun for Benjamin Bunn from Wilmington, whose buttons will not come undone. The battle. Would you like to hear of the terrible night when I bravely fought the... No? All right. Minnow Minnie. May I ask you if you've noticed, may I ask you if you've seen, my Minnow Minnie who was swimmin' in your Ovaltine? For you've gone and drunk it up, dear, and she isn't in the cup, dear, and she's nowhere to be found, dear. Do you think that she has drowned, dear? The razor-tailed wren. The razor-tailed wren, he'll pretend he's your friend, as he cuts all the grass on your lawn, but do not leave anything sticking far out, or squishity, it will be gone. This is just an illustration of the giraffe's neck, and it says, "Please do not make fun of me, and please don't laugh. It isn't easy to write a poem on the neck of a running giraffe." The Bloath. In the undergrowth there dwells a Bloath, who feeds upon poets and tea. Luckily, I knew this about him, while he knows nothing of me. The Yippee-Yuck. In the swamplands long ago, where the weeds and mudglumps grow, a Yippee-Yuck bit on my toe. Exactly why, I do not know. I kicked and cried and hollered, oh! The Yippee-Yuck would not let me go. I whispered to him soft and low, the Yippee-Yuck would not let go. I shouted, stop, desist, and whoa! The Yippee-Yuck would not let go. Yes, that was 16 years ago, and the Yippee-Yuck still won't let go. The snow may fall, the winds may blow, the Yippee-Yuck will not let go. The snow may melt, the grass may grow, the Yippee-Yuck will not let go. I drag him round each place I go, this Yippee-Yuck that won't let go. And now, my child, at last you know exactly why I walk so slow. What's in the sack? What's in the sack? What's in the sack? Is it some mushrooms, or is it the moon? Is it love letters or downy goose feathers? Or maybe the world's most enormous balloon? What's in the sack? That's all they ask me. Could it be popcorn, or marbles, or books? Is it 2 years' worth of your dirty laundry? Or the biggest old meatball that's ever been cooked? Does anyone ask me, hey, when is your birthday? Can you play Monopoly? Do you like beans? What is the capital of Yugoslavia? Or who embroidered that rose on your jeans? No. What's in the sack? That's all they care about. Is it a rock or a rolled up giraffe? Is it pickles or nickels or busted bicycles? And if we guess it, will you give us half? Do they ask where I've been or how long I've been staying? Where I'll be going or when I'll be back? Or how do? Or what's new? Or hey, why are you blue? No. All they keep asking is, what's in the sack? What's in the sack? I'm blowing my stack at the next one who asks me, what's in the sack? What? Oh no, not you too. Won't you? Barbara's eyes are blue as azure, but she is in love with Freddie. Karen's sweet, but Harry has her. Gentle Jane is going steady. Carol hates me, so does May. Abigail will not be mine. Nancy lives too far away. Won't you be my Valentine? Alice. She drank from a bottle called Drink Me, and up she grew so tall. She ate from a plate called Taste Me, and down she shrank so small. And so she changed while other folks never tried nothing at all. Shadow wash. I've never washed my shadow out, and all the time I've had it. It was absolutely filthy, I supposed, and so today I peeled it off the wall where it was leaning and stuck it in the wash tub with the clothes. I put in soap and bleach and stuff. I let it soak for hours. I wrung it out and hung it out to dry, and whoever would have thunk that it would have gone and shrunk, for now it's so much littler than I. Recipe for a hippopotamus sandwich. A hippo sandwich is easy to make. All you do is simply take 1 slice of bread, 1 slice of cake, some mayonnaise, 1 onion ring, 1 hippopotamus, 1 piece of string, a dash of pepper. That ought to do it. And now comes the problem, biting into it. 18 flavors. 18 luscious, scrumptious flavors. Chocolate, lime, and cherry. Coffee, pumpkin, fudge banana. Caramel cream and boysenberry. Rocky Road and toasted almond. Butterscotch, vanilla dip. Butter brickle, apple ripple. Coconut and mocha chip. Brandy peach and lemon custard. Each scoop lovely, smooth and round. Tallest ice cream cone in town, lying there, sniff, on the ground. Poor Angus. Oh, what do you do, poor Angus, when hunger makes you cry? I fixed myself an omelet, sir, of fluffy clouds and sky. Oh, what do you wear, poor Angus, when wind blows down the hill? I sew myself a warm cloak, sir, of hope and daffodils. Oh, when do you love, poor Angus, when Catherine's left the moor? Ah, then, sir, then's the only time I feel I'm really poor. What a day. What a day, oh what a day. My baby brother ran away, and now my tuba will not play. I'm 8 years old and turning gray. Oh what a day, oh what a day. Ma and God. God gave us fingers. Ma says use your fork. God gave us voices. Ma says don't scream. Ma says eat broccoli, carrots, and cereal, but God gave us tasties for maple ice cream. God gave us fingers. Ma says use your hanky. God gave us puddles. Ma says don't splash. Ma says be quiet, your father is sleeping, but God gave us garbage can covers to crash. God gave us fingers. Ma says put your gloves on. God gave us raindrops. Ma says don't get wet. Ma says be careful and don't get too near to those strange lovely dogs that God gave us to pet. God gave us fingers. Ma says go wash 'em. But God gave us coal bins and nice dirty bodies. And I ain't too smart, but there's one thing for certain. Either Ma's wrong or else God is. Bang clang. I'm Big Barney Zang of the railroad gang. My partner is Charlie O'Flynn. And I hold the nails for the big steel rails, and Charlie, he hammers 'em in. And most of the time, he does just fine, but now and again he fails. Maybe tomorrow I'll hammer 'em in and let Charlie hold the nails. Traffic light. The traffic light simply would not turn green, so the people stopped to wait. As the traffic rolled and the wind blew cold, and the hour grew dark and late. Zoom, vroom, trucks and trailers, bikes and limousines, clattering by, me oh my, won't that light turn green? But the days turned weeks, and the weeks turned months, and there on the corner they stood, twiddling their thumbs till the changing comes, the way good people should. And if you walk by that corner now, you may think it's rather strange to see them there as they hopefully gaze with the very same smile on their very same face, as they patiently stand in the very same place and wait for the light to change. Me stew. I have nothing to put in my stew, you see, not a bone or a bean or a black-eyed pea. So I'll just climb in the pot to see if I can make a stew out of me. I'll put in some pepper and salt and I'll sit in the bubbling water. I won't scream a bit. I'll sing while I simmer. I'll smile when I'm stewing. I'll taste myself often to see how I'm doing. I'll stir me around with this big wooden spoon and serve myself up at 1:45. So bring out your stew bowls, you gobblers and snackers. Farewell, and I hope you enjoy me with crackers. Double-tailed dog. Would you like to buy a dog with a tail at either end? He is quite the strangest dog there is in town, though he's not too good at knowing just exactly where he's going. He is very good at sitting down. He doesn't have a place to put a collar, and I'll admit it's rather hard to lead him. And he cannot hear you call, for he has no ears at all, but it doesn't cost a single cent to feed him. He cannot bite, he'll never bark or growl. Just scratch him on his tails, he'll find it pleasing. But you'll have to take him out for twice as many walks, and I'll bet you can quickly guess the reason. Paul Bunyan. He rode through the woods on a big blue ox. He had fists as hard as chopping blocks, 500 pounds and 9 feet tall. That's Paul. Talk about working when he swung his axe. You could hear it ring for 1.5 miles. Then he'd yell, "Timber!" and down she'd fall for Paul. Talk about drinking, that man so mean that he'd never drink nothing but kerosene. And a 5-gallon can is a bit too small for Paul. Talk about tough. Well, he once had a fight with a thunderstorm on a cold, dark night. I ain't saying who won, but it don't storm at all round here, thanks to Paul. He was 90 years old when he said with a sigh, "I think I'm gonna lay right down and die. 'Cause sunshine and sorrow, I've seen it all," says Paul. He says, "There ain't no man alive can kill me, ain't no woman round here can thrill me, and I think heaven might just be a ball," says Paul. So he died, and we cried. It took 18 men just to bust the ground, and it took 24 men just to lower him down, and we covered him up, and we figured that was all for Paul. But late one night, it started shaking. The dogs started howling, and the earth started quaking. And out of the ground, with a "Hi, y'all," come Paul. He took He shook the dirt off from his clothes. He scratched his butt and wiped his nose. You know, being dead wasn't no fun at all, says Paul. He says, up in heaven, they got harps on their knees. They got clouds and wings, but they got no trees. I don't think that's much of a heaven at all, says Paul. So he jumps on his ox with a fair 3 well. He says, I'll find out if there's trees in hell. And he rolled away, and that was all we ever seen of Paul. But the next time you hear a timber yell, that sounds like it's coming from the pits of hell, then a weird and devilly, ghostly wail, like somebody coming on the devil's tail, then a shout, a call, a crash, a fall. That ain't no mortal man at all. That's Paul. Dancing pants. And now for the dancing pants, doing their fabulous dance. From the seat to the pleat, they will bounce to the beat, with no legs inside them and no feet beneath. They'll whirl and twirl and jiggle and prance. So just start the music and give them a chance. Let's have a big hand for the wonderful, marvelous, super sensational, utterly fabulous, talented dancing pants. I won't hatch. Oh, I am a chickie who lives in an egg, but I will not hatch, I will not hatch. The hens, they all cackle, the roosters all beg, but I will not hatch, I will not hatch. For I hear all the talk of pollution and war, as the people all shout and the airplanes roar. So I'm staying in here where it's safe and warm, and I will not hatch. With his mouth full of food. Milford Dupree thought he knew it was rude. Milford Dupree, though he thought it was rude, talked with his mouth full of food. He never would burp or walk out in the nude, but he talked with his mouth full of food. His mother said, Milford, it's crude and it's lewd to talk with your mouth full of food. Why, even the milk cow who mooed as she chewed, never mooed with her mouth full of food. And the cuckoo would never have ever cuckooed if he cooed with his mouth full of food. His dad said, get married or get tattooed, but don't talk with your mouth full of food. If it was a crime, you would surely get sued if you talked with your mouth full of food. Why, just like an animal, you should be zooed as you talk with your mouth full of food. For you know we've all put in a terrible mood when you talk with your mouth full of food. They pleaded and begged, he just giggled and chewed and laughed with his mouth full of food. And they all advised him, he simply pooh-poohed. He pooh-poohed with his mouth full of food. So they sent for the gluer and had his mouth glued, 'cause he talked with his mouth full of food. Now instead of good morning, he says, good morning. I won't talk with my mouth full of food. My hobby. When you spit from the 26th floor and it floats on the breeze to the ground, does it fall upon hats or on white Persian cats or our heads with a pity-pat sound? I used to think life was a bore, but I don't feel that way anymore. As I count up the hits, as I smile as I sit, as I spit from the 26th floor. Instructions. If you should ever choose to bathe an armadillo, use 1 bar of soap and a whole lot of hope and 72 pads of Brillo. The worst. When singing songs of scariness, of bloodiness and hairiness, I feel obligated at this moment to remind you of the most ferocious beast of all. 3,000 pounds and 9 feet tall, the glurpy, slurpy Skagagrowl, who's standing right behind you. The bagpipe who didn't say no. It was 9 o'clock at midnight, at 3:15, when a turtle met a bagpipe on the shore side by the sea. And the turtle said, "My dearie, may I sit with you? I'm weary." And the bagpipe didn't say no. Said the turtle to the bagpipe, "I have walked this lonely shore. I have talked to waves and pebbles, but I've never loved before. Will you marry me today, dear? Is it no you're going to say, dear?" But the bagpipe didn't say no. Said the turtle to his darling, "Please excuse me if I stare, but you have the plattest skin, dear, and you have the strangest hair. If I begged you, pretty please, love, could I give you just 1 squeeze, love?" And the bagpipe didn't say no. Said the turtle to the bagpipe, "Ah, you love me, then confess. Let me whisper in your dainty ear and hold you to my chest." And he cuddled her and teased her, and so lovingly he squeezed her, and the bagpipe said, "Auga." Said the turtle to the bagpipe, "Did you honk or bray or neigh? For auga, when you are kissed, is such a heartless thing to say. Is it that I have offended? Is it that our love has ended?" And the bagpipe didn't say no. Said the turtle to the bagpipe, "Shall I leave you, darling wife? Shall I waddle off to Wodum? Shall I crawl out of your life? Shall I move, depart, and go, dear? Oh, I beg you, tell me no, dear." But the bagpipe didn't say no. So the turtle crept off crying, and he never spoke back. And he never smoked. Let's try that again. So the turtle crept off crying, and he never came back no more. And he left the bagpipe lying on that smooth and sandy shore. And some night, when tide is low there, just walk up and say hello there, and politely ask the bagpipe if that story's really so. I assure you, darling children, that the bagpipe won't say no. This is a picture of a woman with a very long nose, and on her nose it says, "The longest nose in the world belongs to Betsy Blue Bonnet, who lets me write things on it." Rudy Felsch. Rudy Felsch knows how to belch better than anyone ever did. Margot says that Rudy Felsch is a nasty, vulgar kid. Someday he will go to jail or Canada, but now every night I pray that first Rudy Felsch will show me how. Fred? From out of the cold Caribbean into the desert Libyan, there crawled a strange amphibian, and we shall call him Fred. You say let's call him Ted, or maybe Lou or Jed, but I want to call him Fred. You like Maurice instead, or Barnaby, or Red, or Lucifer, or Ned? Well, anyway, he's dead. The long-haired boy. There was a boy in our town with long hair, I mean really long hair, and everybody pointed at him and laughed at him and made fun of him. And when he walked down the street, the people would roar and stick their tongues out and make funny faces and run in and slam their door and shout at him from the window until he couldn't stand it any more. So he sat down and cried till his whole body shook, and pretty soon his hair shook too, and it flapped, and he lifted and flew. Straight up in the air like a helicopter, Jenny Ricks saw him and dropped her. Knitting and screaming, "It's a flying kid!" Lukey Hastings ran and hid under Old Man Merrill's car. Miss Terrence fainted. Henry Quist tried to shoot him down, but missed. "I thought he was a crow," he said, and round he sailed all through the day, smiling in the strangest way, with the wind in his hair and the sun in his eyes. We saw him swoop and bank and rise. He brushed the treetops and skimmed the grass on Yerby's lawn and almost crashed right into Hanson's silo, but zoomed up in time and almost hit the courthouse. Old Man Cooley bit right through his napkin when he saw a kid fly through the diner door and out of the window, tipping the ladder where Smokey was painting. He almost had a heart attack. He clung to a rafter. The kid flew on, us running after, cheering and sweating and screaming, "Hooray!" Mayor Laurie shouted, "Hey, come down here, kid. We'd like to say how proud of you we are today. Whoever thought our little town would have a hero in it? So I'd like to proclaim this day. Hey, kid, will you please come down for just a minute?" But the flying kid did not come down. He treaded air above the town, sort of crying and looking down at all of us here on the ground. Then up he flew, up into the clouds, flapping and flying so far and high, out past the hills and into the sky, until a tiny speck against the sun was all we could see of him. Then he was gone. Band-Aids. I have a Band-Aid on my finger, one on my knee and one on my nose, one on my heel and 2 on my shoulder, 3 on my elbow and 9 on my toes, 2 on my wrist and 1 on my ankle, 1 on my chin and 1 on my thigh, 4 on my belly and 5 on my bottom, 1 on my forehead and 1 on my eye, 1 on my neck, and in case I might need them, I have a box full of 35 more. But oh, I do think it's sort of a pity I don't have a cut or a sore. Dreadful. Someone ate the baby. It's rather sad to say. Someone ate the baby, so she won't be out to play. We'll never hear her whiny cry, or have her feel if she's dry. We'll never hear her asking why. Someone ate the baby. Someone ate the baby. It's absolutely clear. Someone ate the baby, 'cause the baby isn't here. We'll give away her toys and clothes. We'll never have to wipe her nose. Dad says that's the way it goes. Someone ate the baby. Someone ate the baby. What a frightful thing to eat. Someone ate the baby, though she wasn't very sweet. It was a heartless thing to do. The policemen haven't got a clue. I simply can't imagine who would go and burp, eat the baby. A little morbid there. skinny. Skinny McGuinn was so terribly thin that while taking his bath Sunday night, out popped the plug, and sloosh, swoosh, and glug glug, it washed Skinny right down the drain, out of sight. And where is our dear Skinny bathing tonight? In some underground pool down below? Or up there so high, in that tub in the sky, where all of the clean people go? The Land of Happy. Have you been to the Land of Happy, where everyone's happy all day, where they joke and they sing of the happiest things, and everything's jolly and gay? There's no one unhappy and happy. There's laughter and smiles galore. I've been to the Land of Happy. What a bore. Pirate Captain Jim. Walk the plank, says Pirate Jim. But Captain Jim, I cannot swim. Then you must steer us through the gale. But Captain Jim, I cannot sail. Then down with the gallery slaves you go. But Captain Jim, I cannot row. Then you must be the pirate's clerk. But Captain Jim, I cannot work. Then a pirate captain you must be. Thank you, Jim, says Captain Me. Fish. The little fish eats the tiny fish. The big fish eats the little fish. So only the biggest fish get fat. Do you know any folks like that? If the world was crazy. If the world was crazy, you know what I'd eat? A big slice of soup and a whole quart of meat. A lemonade sandwich, and then I might try some roasted ice cream or a bicycle pie. A nice notebook salad, an underwear roast, an omelet of hats, and some crisp cardboard toast. A thick malted milk made from pencils and daisies. And that's what I'd eat if the world was crazy. If the world was crazy, you know what I'd wear? A chocolate suit and a tie of eclair. Some marshmallow earmuffs, some licorice shoes, and I'd read a paper of peppermint news. I'd call the boys Susie, and I'd call the girls Harry. I'd talk through my ears, and I always would carry a paper umbrella for when it grew hazy, to keep in the rain if the world was crazy. If the world was crazy, you know what I'd do? I'd walk on the ocean and swim in my shoe. I'd fly through the ground and I'd skip through the air. I'd run down the bathtub and bathe on the stair. When I met somebody, I'd say, "Goodbye, Joe." And when I was leaving, then I'd say hello. And the greatest of men would be silly and lazy, so I would be king if the world was crazy. Stone telling. How do we tell if a window is open? Just throw a stone at it. Does it make noise? It doesn't? Well, it was open. Now let's try another. Crash. It wasn't. Chester. Chester come to school and said, "Dern, I growed another head." Teacher said, "It's time you knowed. The word is grew instead of growed." Silver fish. While fishing in the blue lagoon, I caught a lovely silver fish, and he spoke to me. "My boy," quoth he, "please set me free and I'll grant you a wish. A kingdom of wisdom, a palace of gold, or all the goodies your fancies can hold." So I said, "Okay," and I threw him free, and he swam away and he laughed at me, whispering my foolish wish, into a silent sea. Today I caught that fish again, that lovely silver prince of fishes, and once again he offered me, if I would only set him free, any one of a number of wonderful wishes. He was delicious. Forgotten language. Once I spoke the language of the flowers. Once I understood each word the caterpillar said. Once I smiled in secret at the gossip of the starlings, and shared a conversation with the housefly in my bed. Once I heard and answered all the questions of the crickets, and joined the crying of each falling, dying flake of snow. Once I spoke the language of the flowers. How did it go? How did it go? The generals. Said General Clay to General Gore, "Oh, must we fight this silly war? To kill and die is such a bore." "I quite agree," said General Gore. Said General Gore to General Clay, "We could go to the beach today and have some ice cream on the way." "A grand idea," said General Clay. Said General Clay to General Gore, "We'll build sandcastles on the shore." Said General Gore, "We'll splash and play." "Let's leave right now," said General Clay. Said General Gore to General Clay, "But what if the sea is closed today? And what if the sand's been blown away?" "A dreadful thought," said General Clay. Said General Gore to General Clay, "I've always feared the ocean's spray. And we may drown, it's true, we may." "It chills my blood," said General Clay. Said General Clay to General Gore, "My bathing suit is slightly tore. We'd better go on with our war." "I quite agree," said General Gore. Then General Clay charged General Gore as bullets flew and cannons roared. And now, alas, there is no more of General Clay and General Gore. Just me, just me. Sweet Marie, she loves just me. She also loves Morris McGee. No, she doesn't. She loves just me. She also loves Louis Dupree. No, she doesn't. She loves just me. She also loves the willow tree. No, she don't. She loves just me. Poor, poor fool. Why can't you see? She can love others and still love thee. Standing. Standing on my elbow, with my finger in my ear, biting on a dandelion and humming kind of queer. While I watched a yellow caterpillar creeping up my wrist, I leaned on a tree and I said to me, "Why am I doing this?" The one who stayed. You should have heard the old men cry. You should have heard the biddies, when that sad stranger raised his flute and piped away the kiddies. Katie, Tommy, Meg, and Bob followed skipping gaily, red-haired Ruth, my brother Rob, and little crippled Bailey. John and Nils and cousin Claire, dancin', spinnin', turnin', crossed the hills to God knows where, they never came returnin'. Crossed the halls to God knows where, the piper pranced a-leadin', each child in Hamlin town but me, and I stayed home unheedin'. My papa says that I was blessed, for if that music found me, I'd be witch-cast like all the rest. This town grows old around me. I cannot say I did not hear that sound so hauntingly hollow. That sound so haunting hollow. I heard it clear. I was afraid to follow. Melinda May. Have you heard of tiny Melinda May, who ate a monstrous whale? She thought she could. She said she would. So she started in right at the tail. And everyone said, "You're much too small," but that didn't bother Melinda at all. She took little bites and she chewed very slow, just like a good girl should. And in 89 years she ate that whale because she said she would. The Little Blue Engine. The little blue engine looked up at the hill. His light was weak, his whistle was shrill. He was tired and small, and the hill was tall, and his face blushed red as he softly said, "I think I can, I think I can, I think I can." So he started up with a chug and a strain, and he puffed and pulled with might and main, and slowly he climbed, a foot at a time, and his engine coughed as he whispered soft, "I think I can, I think I can, I think I can." With a squeak and a creak, and a toot and a sigh, with an extra hope and an extra try, he would not stop. Now he neared the top, and strong and proud he cried out loud, "I think I can, I think I can, I think I can." He was almost there when, crash, smash, bash, he slid down and mashed into engine hash on the rocks below, which goes to show, if the track is tough and the hill is rough, thinking you can just ain't enough. Afraid of the dark. I'm Reginald Clark, I'm afraid of the dark, so I always insist on the light on, and my teddy to hug, and my blanket to rub, and my thummy to suck or bite on. And 3 bedtime stories, 2 trips to the toilet, 2 prayers, and 5 hugs from my mommy. I'm Reginald Clark, I'm afraid of the dark, so please do not close this book on me. Sorry, Reginald Clark. Hungry Mungry. Hungry Mungry sat at supper, took his knife and spoon and fork, ate a bowl of mushroom soup, ate a slice of roasted pork, ate a dozen stewed tomatoes, 27 deviled eggs, 15 shrimp, 9 baked potatoes, 32 fried chicken legs, a shank of lamb, a boiled ham, 2 bowls of grits, some black-eyed peas, 4 chocolate shakes, 8 angel cakes, 9 custard pies with Munster cheese, 10 pots of tea, and after he had eaten all that he was able, he poured some broth on the tablecloth and ate the kitchen table. His parents said, "Oh, Hungry Mungry, stop these silly jokes." Mungry opened up his mouth and said, "Gulp," and he ate his folks. And then he went and ate his house, all the bricks and wood, and then he ate up all the people in the neighborhood. Up came 20 angry policemen shouting, "Stop and cease." Mungry opened up his mouth and, gulp, he ate the police. Soldiers came with tanks and guns, said Mungry, "They can't harm me." He just smiled and licked his lips and ate the U.S. Army. The president sent all his bombers. Mungry was still calm, put his head back, gulped the planes, and gobbled up the bomb. He ate his town and ate his city and ate and ate and ate. And then he said, "I think I'll eat the whole United States." So he ate Chicago first and munched the water tower. And then he chewed on Pittsburgh, but he found it rather sour. He ate New York and Tennessee and all of Boston town, then drank the Mississippi River just to wash it down. And when he'd eaten every state, each puppy, boy, and girl, he wiped his mouth upon his sleeve and went to eat the world. He ate the Egypt pyramids and every church in Rome, and all the grass in Africa, and all the ice in Nome. He ate each hill in green Brazil, and then to make things worse, he decided for dessert he'd eat the universe. He started with the moon and stars, and soon as he was done, he gulped the clouds, he sipped the wind, and gobbled up the sun. Then sitting there in the cold dark air, he started to nibble his feet, then his legs, then his hips, then his neck, then his lips, till he just sat there, just gnashing his teeth, 'cause nothing was left to eat. My beard. My beard grows to my toes. I never wear no clothes. I wraps my hair around my bear, and down the road I goes. Mary. No one's hanging stockings up. No one's baking pie. No one's looking up to see a new star in the sky. No one's talking brotherhood. No one's giving gifts. And no one loves a Christmas tree on March the 25th. The search. I went to find the pot of gold that's waiting where the rainbow ends. I searched and searched and searched and searched and searched and searched, and then there it was, deep in the grass, under an old and twisty bow. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine at last. What do I search for now? And I think that is the end of this book. Yep, that is the end. So, please let me know if you would like me to read any of the other books by Shel Silverstein. I have the other 2 poetry books that he has as well. So, also if you have any other requests for just any books in general, be it a childhood book or even a book from present time, let me know if you would like to read it. I think in my next video I will also be reading a book that hopefully a lot of you remember as a kid. So I'm gonna keep it a surprise until next